Go.
Hello, everyone.
What's up, people?
Still in lockdown.
You're all living in my computer at the moment, so we're recording on there.
Ah, shit.
Welcome to Anime Amigos. I'm Calvin Atkinson, the Pokemon punk.
I'm Reese, the Gundam Guru.
Oh, it's me, isn't it?
You
always
mess us up.
I never remember. I'm sorry.
Well, it's only been 3 years, Ren.
Yeah,
we've been doing this for 3 years.
We've been doing this for 3 years, you idiot.
You know what I'm like. I've got a rubbish memory for stuff like this.
You've got a rubbish memory, period. And that's me saying it. He's Ren. He's the JoJo genius.
Right, JoJo genius.
I'm Elliot, the Vanguard Vagrant, and I think we are currently better than most of the anime currently are because we're still airing. Barely.
I will say, actually, on that note, there's a lot more airing than I thought there was. I thought, most of it's gone, and it was like, what the fuck was that?
That was my computer.
Sounded more like a microwave. At the same time, shows like Boruto and One Piece have now been postponed.
At last, with the case of One Piece. Seriously, we could use a break.
One Piece being postponed. That thing's been going consistently for 20 years.
It only took a global pandemic to stop the search.
I told you it would take a national emergency to stop One Piece. I told you this years ago.
And what's affected me is that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's has been postponed, and Carfight Vanguard has been postponed. For fuck's sake!
Okay.
Now I have to watch this Shadowverse.
I think it was nothing short of like a pandemic or something that would enforce social distancing measures that would actually be able to physically stop One Piece at this point. I think anything else could do it. Like a nuclear bomb could probably go off and it'd be fine. Actually,
that's there's actually a point on that one because after Hiroshima, the trains were running the next day.
Really?
That's no joke. Genuinely, the bomb dropped. And the trains were still going. Because there was a man, I think I've mentioned this on a previous one we did. There was a man from Hiroshima. He went on the train to Nagasaki and he got hit again. And he survived it again.
Fucking hell.
He survived two...
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Someone actually survived both bombs.
He survived 2 nukes.
He needed a fucking lottery ticket.
Right, I think we need to get to the point of what we're here for. It's time for our annual anime fights competition, our homage to Screen Junkies movie fights. Because
it's time for me to win the titleship for 3 years in a row.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about that.
Unfortunately, because we're in the lockdown measures and we're not all in the same room, there's no real chance of a moderator managing to get us all in check. So we've decided to change the rules for this year alone. So the rules are very simple. We each at the beginning, after the question's read, each person competing states what their pick is for that one. Then you get 2 minutes each to give your argument. Then after that's all done, 1 minute to rebut all the other arguments.
But.
And very mature. And the judge then picks the winner. Were you taking a picture for the Facebook page then, Ren?
I was indeed.
I saw
that.
Self-promotion! You can even put that on the Facebook page. To find out why, go to the actual fucking video.
Yeah,
if only we had an Instagram account, then that would be major promotion.
That's true. That is true.
So, how confident are you guys feeling?
I feel like out of all the years, this is the one where I felt the least confident in myself.
Same here. I think I've made questions that really suck this year.
Yeah, you made some really difficult ones this year.
I didn't find them that hard, actually. I found these ones okay.
Okay, so I want to mention again, the prize is the belt, which
I think
Reese still has. An extra wild card, which this year is probably going to be very important, and this Ice Climbers amiibo, which I definitely did not double order and want to shift.
Signed by all of us at the Anime Amigos. Oh boy, the best Smash character, the Ice Climbers. Who doesn't love them?
Are you collecting amiibos, Elliot?
Yes, I am, but Ice Climbers is not one of them.
Yay! So let's get ready to go. It's round 1. It's anime fight time. Ding ding ding!
Ring the bells! It's time to battle.
And you challenge the ring.
And as Reese picked, Ren's going to judge the first one, which God knows what he would have picked if he actually had a question in this one. But the question was, which fictional anime band would go down best at the Download Festival? So, Ren, who's going first, who's going second, who's going third?
We'll start with the winner of last year, so we'll go with Reese to begin with. I'm interested to hear these arguments.
Okay.
So, and then it's Elliot, then me.
How long is each instalment?
2 minutes for each of us, then a minute afterwards.
Okay.
So, everyone state what you're picking. Reese?
I went with Given.
Of course you did.
Elliot?
I went with Detroit Metal City.
I went for Beck, the Mongolian Chop Squad.
I'd like to know this one was very difficult for me because Given is the only rock anime I've seen.
I will tell you right now.
Fuck you, Reese. Fuck you.
I don't know what I would. Well, I know now what I would have picked.
I wasn't going to pick After School Tea Time, was I? As good as some of those songs are, and they have had a successful performance in London, I'm not going to pick that one. So, Reese, your time starts now.
Okay, so we already know that they are a great rock band from the anime. Great lyrics, soulful performances, amazing instruments and vocals. But one thing that clinched it for me was Download was supposed to have a venue in Japan this year for 2020 that got cancelled. So what better to frontline the Japanese venue than a Japanese band? Also, it'd be great inclusive. It's been the first LGBT plus group to perform at Download in Japan. Because all the other acts have been straight. So it'd be great for inclusivity, to show people that gay musicians can perform and do really well. It would also get anime fans to listen to other types of music at the festival with other bands, other rock, metal. So therefore increasing the size for those audiences and therefore increasing the popularity of other bands. Therefore more money. Capitalism. Right, there we go.
That's your argument? Okay.
Yeah.
Elliot, you're up. Starting now.
Okay, I'd like to know, first of all, I have not seen this anime, which is kind of upsetting for me because it's about a metal band, which I absolutely love. And let me explain this. What Download is most known for isn't just amazing rock bands, isn't just amazing performances, it's also sheer heaviness. There's a lot of the heavy bands that go out there. Like, when you look at the frontliners, who do you see? You see mostly metal bands. Like, yeah, there's a lot of them are, you know, sort of old, sort of like, you know, the classics like Ozzy, Guns N' Roses, things like that. This is of course, a metal band, and from what I've heard, it's got a very I think it's got somewhat of a thrashy sound to it, like a somewhat thrash metal sound to it. So I feel like when it comes to Download in particular, like Given, I feel like it get listened to in most of the other places, in most of the other, in a lot of other sort of rock festivals. Meanwhile, there are very few places you'd be able to hear this band because they're metal, in which case I think they would be a great fit for Download in particular. That's my argument with it.
Okay, and my time, and I promise to stick to the rules, starts now. So, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad's two biggest influences are the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine. Two bands that have played down the festival and done it very successfully. They've already proven they can do great festival shows. The final episodes of that show are all about them putting on this amazing show on the third stage of a festival when they managed to attract an entirely massive audience in spite of the fact that there are major bands that have been admittedly had their time cut because of a storm on their show, but they managed to get this amazing show going in a storm environment. That means they can win over almost any Download fan. I think they would go down very well at both the British and the Japanese show. Within the anime, they do get some success in America, so they will have some basis to be there. I think the publicity alone would have done them very well, and I think they would make an excellent addition to the festival lineup. That's my argument. Okay, so Reese, you now get your extra minute to rebut other arguments that have been made, starting now. He has none.
Well, what arguments have you guys made against my band?
Well, I would say that the arguments I would make against Given is as much as you've said it would go down well, it's not necessarily going to be the case. It's not. It has every possibility of going down well, but there's no guarantee it's going to happen. And again, there's no guarantee that Japanese show is going to happen next year. Will Download have enough money to put it back on?
Yeah, and another thing we're given is you say they have really good lyrics. The thing is, though, if we're going by what we've heard so far in the anime, they actually only have one song in their lineup with lyrics.
No, they have two songs.
They have two, do they?
Yeah.
Okay,
the OP. All right, they only have two songs with lyrics, so the rest of them are just are mostly instrumentals, and a lot are mostly instrumentals. Therefore, we won't get like the soulful lyrics. Yeah, it'll be really good guitars, but at the same time, we won't get like a lot of the lyrical songs, which a lot of bands are really well known for.
Yeah, well, most anime bands don't have that many songs to begin with. So if they were to perform, they could make new songs and include more LGBT lyrics to bring the audiences in. And are you arguing against LGBT representation?
No, we are not. We are not arguing against that at all.
Homophobia card, Reese.
We are not playing. We are not playing the homophobia card right now. Quickly, get out.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Elliot, you get your.
So it's just great for inclusivity because all the other bands you mentioned were all straight.
Fucking hell, he's getting a good argument here. Elliot, quickly, you get your minute starting now.
Alright, what do you guys have to say about my band then?
I would say the problem with Detroit Metal City would be that it doesn't that they're very much a style over substance band. If you actually get the soundtrack of that film, a lot of one of the best songs on it is "Fucking Palace," and that's done by Jack Dark in the concept of the anime. It's not done by I know.
Brilliant name.
He's a famous black metal musician who's played by Gene Simmons in the live action film. But I don't see Detroit. I think Detroit Metal City could get a similar thing to what happened to the Black Veil Brides when they played Download. I was there. Trust me, it did not go well.
Ooh.
Yeah, but that's one major difference. Detroit
Metal City is good.
Actually good. not to mention again, they have you say they have a. Like that's the thing though. They have a soundtrack. That shows that they'll easily have enough songs in order to be able to do a full set. A full set. I'm sure Beck has just have a pretty good soundtrack as well. But at the same time, that doesn't fully mean that they'll probably have enough to do like a full set. It's just my thoughts. Really.
Detroit Metal City do enough to stand out though from other metal bands?
I'd probably say they would. I'd probably say they probably would. They probably would.
And that's time up on your one, I'm afraid, Elliot. So it's my go. So it's my go now. What's your big argument against my one then? Since we've all done this so far.
Well, I've not listened to yours, so I'm not really sure.
I'll tell you right.
But is your band inclusive like mine?
They got two younger members than the rest of the group.
With Download, the main thing is that it has to be good. Which
the thing is,
Travis says like his band is mostly like has a lot of sound to like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine. Both of those are good bands that have done well at Download, but at the same time, that probably means that they won't stand out quite as much as compared to those two bands.
Yeah, because we've seen them. Well, the bands they were influenced by before.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I would say they do stand out in a sense. They've been very heavily influenced, but they're not exact sounding copy-likes. They do still have a very excellent sound that's all of their own. That's what I mean. They have I'd say out of all the bands in this, they really have the most unique sound.
I just want to say,
and they also have a Beatles.
Your lyrics aren't as emotional as my lyrics.
Oh, and they also have a Beatles cover that can get the audience going in the first song.
Yeah, because nothing screams metal like the Beatles.
Okay, that's my time up.
I'd like to quickly say as well that this was probably the worst question you could have picked because barely any of us have seen any music anime, let alone ones that would work in Download.
Okay, Ren.
The only other music anime I've seen aside from Given is Carol and Tuesday, and that will work better in Glastonbury.
Zombieland Saga.
Look, you have seen another one.
Zombieland Saga.
Yeah, Zombieland Saga. And actually, I was going to choose Zombieland Saga for.
You were going to pick Franz Shushu.
I was going to go for Franz Shushu if I was in the question.
Oh god, I would have loved to have seen that argument. So Ren, your pick. Who wins round 1?
So I think you all put quite good answers. I like the idea of a thrash metal sounding band with Elliot's band, but I can't remember the name of them. I haven't seen
Detroit
any
Metal
of the show.
City.
I've seen part of Given. I'd like to see Mongolian Chop Squad. I don't think Given have the right sound, and I know that there's you don't explicitly have to be a metal band in order to play it download. But I don't think from the songs that I've heard of them, and the fact that only 2 of them are kind of lyrical, I don't think explicitly what's the word? Just music bands work. You kind of need more lyrical content. I do like the sound of a band inspired by Rage Against the Machine and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and as Cal stated, they have kind of played on that level of event before and had quite a lot of success. So I actually think that Cal probably defended his point. With Cal, I'm sorry, and Reese.
We're all homophobic.
We are not homophobic.
Cal, the thing is, Reese, you relied a little bit too heavily on the inclusivity card.
Because it's a great point.
Yeah.
It is a good point.
I will say, when he made that point, I thought, oh god damn it,
that's a... write more songs. I'm guessing by this we were judging by what songs we had heard in the anime.
I think so, yes.
Not by the songs they could make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you defended that point.
Still 2 good songs, though.
I will say, though, Reese, your arguments early on, I really thought I wasn't going to win this one. I thought, oh god, he's come up with a really good argument there. So...
I think everyone gets solid arguments. Everyone definitely defended their points well.
So I'm up to judge this one.
Okay.
Right, question 2 time. And I really wanted to actually do this one, so I'm really annoyed I didn't get to do it. It's which a live action adaptation is going to be made, and Guillermo Del Toro is going to direct it. Which anime should he be directing a live action film of with a Western setting?
What was yours going to be then, Calvin?
Mine was going to be Digimon.
That would have been really good.
I think wouldn't you love to see Guillermo Del Toro direct, the guy behind Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy directs a live action Digimon film?
I'd love to hear your arguments about that afterwards. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'll let you know on that one. But okay, we're gonna go. This time we're gonna go Ren, Reese, Elliot.
Okay.
So Ren, what are you picking?
My answer is Ancient Magus Bride.
Reese?
Alphen Lead.
Elliot?
Mine was Shiki.
Okay, Ren, your time starts now.
Okay, I think Guillermo Del Toro has done... he's done a film kind of in this vein. He did Shape of Water, which is obviously about some weird kind of almost extraterrestrial love between a woman and a fish creature. And I think it has a similar kind of vibe as the idea of this woman entering a kind of magical world, being introduced to all of these really alien concepts to her, and coming to terms with what is completely a complete fantasy realm, basically. He's shown himself to be a competent director of these kind of weird romances, but also Ancient Magus Bride carries with it a similar vibe to Hellboy 2, when they went to Troll Town with all of these weird creatures doing odd things, and kind of showing just how purely alien this world is from a human from a human perception. So I think in terms of the action and all of the and the emotion he kind of tried to convey, I think that Guillermo del Toro would probably be quite appropriate for it. Just given his history of films, that's pretty much what.
Okay, that means Reese, you're up.
Yep. So Del Toro started as a horror director back in Mexico, working on such films as Kronos. And we know from his vast repertoire of horror films he can make amazing visual effects. So therefore, I think he'd be a good fit for Alphen Lead with its horror aspect, with the vectors and how they interact with people and the carnage that Lucy brings. Because we could really see an 18+, people ripped apart by vectors, done really well by Guillermo del Toro. Because his horror films, his old ones, are amazing with practical effects. He can also write female children characters very well, as we saw with Ophelia in Pan's Labyrinth. So he'll be able to write Lucy very well. And the other child characters from the orphanage as well. which could be done by a flashback. This has the opportunity to be the most progressive film, probably of recent years, like Alita, showing female characters struggle and a real mental handicap going forwards. So therefore, I'd be able to promote mental health issues very well, in my opinion. And the Diagnosis Research Institute can also be seen as a parallel to the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense from Hellboy, which Del Toro wrote very well in Hellboy. So those two facilities could be seen as a link, because he's done them very well before, with the inmates there, like Abe and Hellboy at the Institute. So he could then do that for Lucy in the Institute to show the torment she goes through as a character before she breaks out, and expand upon her backstory. And also other great characters he's wrote for children were an older horror film in Mexico called The Devil's Backbone, about a young boy tormented by a ghost. Again, more horror figures, people being ripped apart. So therefore, Alpha League would suit Del Toro extremely well, with well-written female characters, well-written children characters, and well-done horror.
You just with 4 seconds to spare, you managed to save yourself there. Elliot, your time starts now.
Well, thinking back on it, I would actually change my answer, mostly because I have not seen Shiki, but from what I've seen, from what I've heard, I feel like it would be a legitimately very good fit to Guillermo Del Toro, going back to his horror aspects. Because Shiki, it's sort of kind of a creepy psychological horror where there's a town with vampires in it, and you don't know who's a vampire, who's not. It's kind of a lot of that idea. First of all, this wouldn't have been his first time working with vampires, because he did direct Blade 2. But I'm also thinking back with the psychological elements. Like, I feel like he could do a really good job thinking of the ways of the paranoia and a bunch of stuff like that. The main thing I'm thinking about when it comes to this is something that he was going to direct but never did, and that was going to be Silent Hills. Silent Hills is very focused on psychological horror, and he also directed PT, if I'm correct, if I remember, which, good God, is one of the scariest horror experiences I think you could ever experience, which is why I feel like it will be very good with the general creepiness and the general building up the threat. I feel like Shiki would generally be a very, very good pick. Mind you, if I could go back though, I would probably change it to the manga Ibitsu, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't have let you have Ibitsu because I don't believe it's been turned into an anime yet.
No, it hasn't been turned into an anime.
Yeah, and I did say strictly anime. So I will say though, you remind me of a lot of films that I forgot about. So, but are excellent. So, Ren, you get your minute starting now.
Okay, any points?
Asian Marcus Bride would be way too slow for a film.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Nothing substance happens for hours.
See, I think that you could have you don't need much of an introduction to Chisei because she's quite a blank slate for the early part of the film. So you could have maybe 5-10 minute introduction to the real world, and then actually just delving into the magical realm.
The thing is, though, I think Agent Marcus Bride definitely fits a more slower pace when it comes to the story. I feel like a movie has to be a bit faster than that. I feel like when it comes to that sort of format, Agent Marcus Bride wouldn't work quite as well as a film as it would a series. If you were saying it would do a live-action series, then yeah, that would probably be fine. But since we're going with a live-action movie, that probably wouldn't work quite as well.
Yeah, I think you would be able to work the moments of tension very well. For example, when Elias, sorry, I don't know, I can't remember if his name is Elias, but when Elias transforms into a monster form, and also the threat that you receive from some of the evil characters. Is that the time?
Yeah, but that's your time up, I'm afraid, mate.
Okay.
Okay. So
I had another point
next.
to bring up, but never mind.
So did I.
You're up. The time starts now. So what's your big argument against Elfin Lead?
Okay, so let's think back. Let's think back to this. You're going on about making characters. Something I don't think Elfin Lead really does too well is of course, it makes Lucy seem very threatening, but not fully sure what you'll be able to do with the main characters. Like if they have any.
Do you know Lucy's backstory? from the series,
Yes,
is
I
a
do.
very interesting character. A lot could be delved into her past with amnesia and the psychological effects of being abandoned at birth.
Yes,
Making her a very sympathetic character, as well as what happened to her in the orphanage with the puppy.
But then would that be able to be accurately conveyed in a film if you're constantly flashing back to her, like to her experience as a child?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you don't have to flashback all at once. You could do progressive flashbacks.
Oh,
Start with her in the institute, tied up in a straitjacket, crawling in the corner, and it flashes back to her birth.
Yeah, but
the orphanage.
Yeah, but then
see what makes her tick,
when you really
and
think
why
about
she
it,
went full psychological. Why she had the break.
The main thing you're going on about is sort of that one bit, like the backstory of Lucy. We're not really thinking much about the present because a lot of the movie will have to be within the present.
I am going to stop you there.
It can be all about her breakout.
I am going to have to stop you there, I'm afraid. Your time is up on that one.
Yeah.
Elliot, it's your turn now. That timing is starting now.
What's your argument against you?
Nothing about yours stands out as a good film. Mine is about a mentally ill patient escaping an institute. Yours is about a bunch of vampires which you've seen before.
No, mine's about a village where there are some vampires, but they don't know who the vampires are. They're disguised as humans. Therefore, they can build up the psychological elements to it. And throughout the series, I don't think we really know who's a vampire and who's not, or how many are vampires. Therefore, that could definitely bring up the psychological elements to it and make.
We played that at home with a game called Werewolf. There's nothing special about it. It's been done before, like the film 30 Days of Night. Very similar thing.
Yeah, it's been done before, but I feel like
vampires.
Guillermo Del Toro could add like a bit of an extra element, a bit like what Stanley Kubrick did with The Shining. I feel like he could add in a bit of something extra to bump that up a bit more. And I know he's considering his other works, he can do that.
Okay, well, Blade 2, not well received, 54% rating. He directed it was average. He did not make a good story out of that.
I will have to stop you there, I'm afraid, guys. Okay, time for me to pick.
Well, Blade and Shiki are very different.
Don't run away, Reese. You can still win this.
I just dropped my phone.
I will tell you right now, a lot of very good arguments here. I really like to see all of these films, to be honest, for the most part. I will say, Ren, you're out of this one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm gutted.
They brought up a great point. You are not fitting a good Ancient Magus Bride story into a 2-hour runtime.
Why not 3 hours?
You're not getting a 3-hour Ancient Magus Bride movie. No studio is gonna fund that. You can't.
It works for Avengers, not Ancient Magus Bride.
That's Lord of the Rings length.
Can be 3.5 hours long, and that fuck all happened in that film, and they can do stuff with it. Magus Bride.
I already reviewed The Irishman on my website. I am not revisiting that. So we're down to Reese and Elliot. Now, the one thing I'll take is the two most best negative arguments. So Elliot's one, I think the right to point out, Shiki's the idea of Shiki has been very much done, and 30 Days of Night is the one thing I was thinking when Shiki was suggested. I was thinking that. Although I will not take the Blade that he made Blade 2 as an argument against it, because I actually like Blade 2.
Well, not many of us do, Calvin. Look at the critical reception to the
Very different things!
Reese, the biggest argument for your one, which is something I really don't like in films, constant flashbacks. It's honestly,
it doesn't have to be constant. Occasional.
How many flashbacks?
But if I'm going by which film... Okay, here's what I'm going by. Which film am I going to go and see tomorrow? Based on the arguments I've heard, which film am I going to go see tomorrow?
Ancient Magus Bride.
I'm not going to see Ancient Magus Bride. I know that's a disaster on the start. Guillermo Del Toro directs Shiki. Guillermo Del Toro directs Elfin Lied.
Because he's got the horror aspect for the actors.
Okay, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go by which one I think... I don't think either of these films would turn out very good. I'm going to go by which film I think would turn out the most entertaining, and I'm going to give it to Shiki.
Oh really?
Why?
Because I think...
Elfin Lied has so much more potential.
I feel like with Elfin...
Can I just quickly say, this is the one question I actually wanted to lose.
Oh, because you want this next one.
Yeah, because I want the next one.
I will tell you right now, as much I think Elfin Lied would be so much of a reprise of the show, and I would just constantly be comparing them. And I think you'd be putting Guillermo Del Toro in a no-win position. Whereas I think with Shiki, he has more room to do what he wants to do. And I think Elliot made a good argument with that one. I think yours so close, Reese, and I was going back and forth between them.
Is it possible for me to change the question I asked?
Yeah, that's another point. I think you guys should have made the point. They're going to have to age up the actors to appear in a Western film. We're not all fans.
Not that much.
Yeah, not that much.
Is it possible for me to change the question I asked? Because I really want to answer this next one.
Yeah, I don't want to answer this one.
Okay, fine. On that basis, I'll give the point to Reese because it's a more popular opinion. On that one, I will give
Honestly,
the point.
I do think Reese did kind of make a better argument.
Okay, on popular demand, I will give this one to Reese, and that means it's one apiece, and that means any time that which means I'm not winning because Reese is going to not let me win this one.
No, I will be completely fair.
Okay, I'm trusting you on this. Okay, so the next one is, and this is one that Elliot suggested to me a couple of months ago. Which anime is the best example of an anime that was doomed from the start? Like, had no chance of success. So, what order are we going in, Reese?
We're going to go Ren, then you, Cal, then Elliot for last, because I think Elliot's got a good one.
Okay.
I have a good one, yeah. A very good one.
Ren, what's your pick?
Conception.
I've gone for
Wuz. For what?
Wuz. W-Z. I don't know how it's properly pronounced. Honestly, it was so shit I didn't care to learn. Elliot, what'd you go with?
I went with Boruto.
Controversial.
Shots fired!
I'll explain why when we get to me.
Okay, Ren, your time starts now.
Okay, to be honest with you, the concept for this show is just it's bizarre. It's in the title.
Bad pun, you've lost already.
Bad pun.
Conception. It is literally about fucking an isekai world out of a population decline, to prevent the apocalypse, and it's just such an unusual concept, and one that I don't think you could even do tactfully. Like, regardless of how you wanted to write this, there is no way that this show can have any degree of self-respect. It is a show about having sex with as many girls as they can to produce an offspring to prevent an apocalypse. I'm sorry, the concept is entirely ridiculous. I think going into this show, you can do nothing to redeem the horrendous concept that they've come up with. And frankly, I'm running out of ideas because I didn't even see the show. But it seems irredeemable to me.
Okay, time's up there. I'm going next, and my time starts now. Oh, hang on.
Nope.
Elliot's disappeared. He's gone to the void!
For some reason, my phone's not charging.
Well, at least you're wearing a cool hat now.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a cool hat. 1 minute.
Bonus half a point for the hat.
I get a bonus point for the hat, yeah.
I see you're a Team Fortress 2 player at heart.
Yes, the entire economy run by hats.
Well, while Elliot's doing that, I'll get on with my argument. I think I need to...
Do you want to start the timer?
I'll restart the timer. Hang on a second.
Okay, I'm back. I had to change. I've had to change where I was sitting. I'm now sitting on the floor.
Okay.
That's a blues song waiting to happen. I'm now sitting on the floor during my vlog.
I'm sitting on the floor while bad dogs ate in my... I don't know.
That was a disaster. That was a disaster from the start. Okay, let me give you a little personal history. My time to start, by the way. Let me give you a personal history on Wuz. Wuz was made by the same studio that made that god-awful show Handshakers. And people were willing to give it a chance, this new show a chance, because we said, okay, it looks a bit like that show, but it's obviously going to be something different. Then you go into episode 1, and you realise it's a sequel to Handshakers. They made a stealth sequel to a show that was already poorly received. This was one of the worst reviewed anime, and they just said, instead of saying, let's leave it, we're going to make a sequel to it and pretend it's not a sequel. What chance did they have? The animation was not much better than last time. The characters are all back, and we all hated them. It's still got the creepy incest plot. And, oh my god, what chance did this thing have? You're even an audience that don't like this show to begin with, and your best bet is to pretend this show is not connected to the other one, and then spring it on and say, surprise. I don't know what they were expecting to happen. And if there was a contractual obligation, I don't know why they didn't just, everyone involved didn't just say, screw it, we're already losing money, let's just cut our losses, instead of spending a lot of money writing, directing, producing, and voice acting this show that is going to be entirely pointless. So that's my argument. Okay, resetting the timer. Elliot, your time starts now.
Okay, my reason for picking Boruto is quite simple. It's because for this particular question, I did something that I've never done for any other research. And the main reason why is because I feel like this could have had potential, but the thing is, when it comes to how the manga's formatted, when it comes to when it came out, it just did not work. First of all, the manga comes out once every month. In other words, 50 pages per month. How often does the anime come out? Every week. And it's not just a seasonal thing, it's a continuous thing, like the original Naruto was. Therefore, it would not work. Therefore, you get a bunch of filler. And another issue is when the manga came out as opposed to when the anime came out. The manga came out, and give me a sec, I have it right here. I believe it was May of 2016. When did the anime come out? April of 2017. It came out less than a year after the manga came out. Therefore, there would only be 11 chapters worth of content for this one. There would probably be there wouldn't even be an arc. Therefore, it would be just constant filler. And considering the fact that one chapter would adapt to one episode, that means that as we go down the line, approximately probably 75% of the show would be filler. Therefore, it just would not work. It would just not work. It had the potential to work, but it did not. And because it came out too early, it did not take a break from when Naruto ended. It did not give the manga enough time to expand. That is why, in my opinion, Boruto was failed from the start. Boom.
Okay. You did it with 20 seconds to spare, Elliot. Well done. So, Ren, we're going to start with a minute on your one, starting now.
Hit me.
Deception, I feel like, could have had potential if they did the story right.
Okay, go on.
To be fair, it is trying to do something decent, because Japan does have a birth decline.
Right, my argument.
Not to mention, I've actually heard this story somewhere before in a manga, someone like this, and it actually kind of works.
Okay, number one, Isekai, it's an oversaturated market. People are just throwing as much shit at the wall.
There's no debate on that.
And I don't think that that's a defensible argument, is to say at least they're trying something different, because what they're trying is something so absurd that it can't even have the ability to remotely succeed.
Okay, well, think about what if this is someone who is okay, give me a second.
The only other anime that I've heard that works similar is The World God Only Knows, and that's kind of like a gamer using his skills as using visual novels to romance.
Yeah, however, it has potential in one other genre. We didn't have to say it was fit doomed from the start as an anime. It could have worked as a hentai.
Time's up.
It would have worked as a hentai.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay, time is getting reset. The time is up, Ren. The time to start my one starting now. You cannot come up with an argument against my one. I have pointed out how pointless it was and a waste of time it was for everyone involved.
Just because the first series didn't work doesn't mean that this one wouldn't. There are plenty of series that were good, of seasons that were of second series that were better than the first. They could have improved with this one somehow.
There was no way with the core concept of Handshakers is already bad. A sequel to it is just as bad, if not worse.
Well, they could have changed it again. They could have still done something better. A good example: Dragon Ball Z is much better than Dragon Ball. The story was.
That's controversial, Elliot.
But Dragon Ball was an already good concept. Dragon Ball was an already good concept. You're taking a very bad concept and saying, let's expand on a really bad concept. Handshaker's concept just blows.
No, that wasn't the concept to begin with. Like you said, it was a stealth sequel. The series itself wasn't doomed from the start because the start of the show wasn't actually it wasn't actually a sequel.
The one thing they had to do was not tie it to Handshakers. I feel like that would have worked.
And the annoying thing is that's the end of my time.
Ah.
So, Elliot, timing starts now.
Okay.
Try
and prove me wrong.
I will say the timing is definitely a good point. But if the idea is doomed from the start, if Boruto had been delayed by a few months, that wouldn't have been the issue. And also, it's going to kind of work on some level.
No, it was doomed. It was doomed from the start. Never mind a few months. It would have had to wait a few years before the anime came out. And plus, here's the thing: what were they worried about releasing it so soon after Naruto ended? Well, they think people are going to forget Naruto? It's fucking Naruto!
It's based on Naruto. It's going to work on some level.
That's exactly the thing. Like,
it doesn't work. Because they released it too early, it's going to be filled with very little but filler. Like, seriously, the show's been going for 2 years now. I think they've only recently finished the second arc of the manga.
However, it's not doomed from the start because again, it's building on a very popular franchise and allowing you to explore a world.
But because it's filled with mostly filler, a lot of manga readers are going to drop it very quickly, and a lot of people, including me, are going to realize it's filler and drop it very quickly.
Time's up, I'm afraid, on that one. So, Reese, it's time for your judgment call.
Oh, well, Ren didn't make a very good start, but he made a lot of good comebacks.
Bad choice of words given his anime.
Yeah. Cal, you gave good offense and defense for yours. With Elliot, he had a really good arguments for it, but not so much when it came against him. Because it's doomed from the start. From the start, it didn't start with filler.
It did start with filler.
No, it didn't.
No, it actually did. In the manga, it actually starts at the tuning exam.
Touche.
The manga actually starts with the tuning exam.
Okay, I'll retract that then. In that case, then, I'll probably give it to Elliot.
Yeah, I definitely think Elliot wins that. That's a really good
point. So it's one apiece for everyone except Ren.
Woo, go me.
Just like every year.
So I'm glad we're not.
2 points last year, I think you'll find.
I'm glad we're not doing. I'm glad Elliot's not in this next one because I would have had one argument against his one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is something that's quite close to your heart in particular, Elliot.
Yes. The next one is what anime will work best as a Souls-like. I'm going to say my one now. My one would have been Dororo.
And I would have said they made that game. It's called. And I would have told you they made that game. It's called Sekiro.
Yeah.
And I would have said, because they made few Japan games, it would show they did it would have been work. It would work well. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. What order are we going in? You're picking Elliot. What order are we going in?
Let's go Calvin, Reese, then Ren. I think Ren's been saying his first too many times.
Okay, my one was Full Metal Alchemist. Reese, what was yours?
Mine was classic Berserk.
You're the one who stole mine again.
Ren.
And Ren?
Mine's Bleach.
Of course it is.
My time.
Okay, so
my time starts now. Right. The thing is, I think if we're going to do a new Souls-like game, we need to take a cue from Star Wars Jedi Last Order, which is takes the core concept but do something that's almost wholly unique within an established franchise. Fullmetal Alchemist has all that. It's got the great power-ups that you can use for the skill tree effects, similar to what you have in games like Sekiro. I think you could have the sort of shop-like environment from things like Bloodborne. I think it's got a very unique world. You could have you can have several environments that are based on the idea of isolation, which is what makes all the really good Souls-like games. You have so many different powers to work with, so many different kinds of weapons. I reckon you could also... The boss fights are what really make it. And given all the elaborate designs and elaborate fights shown in Fullmetal Alchemist, you could have excellent boss fights from games that would replicate games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I think everything's kind of there for that. That's my argument. Reese, your time starts now.
Okay, so From Software were already heavily inspired by Berserk, with their themes, architecture, character designs, Bloodborne with the Hunter's Mark. So my argument is that they could do this, but then take it further to incorporate the full aspects of Berserk. Guts' prosthetic arm could take inspiration from the shinobi tools of Sekiro, expanded upon, give him more than just the cannon and the crossbow, give him grappling hooks, give him throwing stars or anything, literally anything. Flamethrower, why not? The Apostles will make great bosses. Yes. The Apostles will make great boss fights. There are human-sized ones, massive demons, stuff you could climb like Shadow of the Colossus, for the Shiva Apostle. You could use the Berserker armor later in the game. That can give you stuff like similar moveset to Artorias, give you lots of agility, acrobatics. Damn, I had more wrote down, but it appears to have been smudged. But yeah, you have companions from the story, Casca, Griffith, Bryson storyline, maybe Gus stayed with Griffith after the eclipse. Maybe he got turned. You can have the environments, beautiful forests, deserts, way more demons than Dark Souls had, more expansion on traversal. He Guts different weapons. He doesn't just have to have his Dragon Slayer sword. You could make Guts your own character and relive moments of the anime how you want to. Say, give him a lance, give him a massive crossbow, give him different armors. Literally customize the whole party of Guts' traveling companions. So you can customize it any way you want, giving you more in-depth story progression, character designs. You could have skill trees, like Calvin said, but actually make them more interesting, like for the magic users.
I'm afraid your time is up, Ren. I'm afraid your time's up.
Okay.
So, Ren, follow on from that. Your time starts now.
Okay, so I think kind of at its core, one of the things about the Soulsborne franchises is that they're set in worlds that are like kind of past their peak. And I think Bleach kind of has one of those worlds. You have the Soul Society fighting against the encroaching storm of Hollows and Quincy's. And Hollows present quite an interesting enemy type because they can be like monstrous, gigantic creatures, or they can be, I forget exactly what they're called, but Espada, basically. Which
humanoid creatures?
Yeah, more humanoid creatures, basically. And obviously within Dark Souls, there's a lot of one-to-one dueling with human-sized enemies, which fits perfectly in with the idea of fighting captains who have monstrous magical abilities, but also a great variety of abilities. So another one of the great things about Soulsborne is the phased boss fights. For example, if you fight against the Orphan of Kos, obviously you're fighting against the Orphan just born, and then later in a completely new form. The Zanpakuto, which is what the Soul Reapers usually use, and what the Espada use, that they use a Resurrection, lends itself very well to this phased boss fight style, because you can unlock new abilities, but also you can unlock new abilities as the main character. You can use what is effectively magic in the form of Soul Society art, in the Soul Society, but also practice combat skills, and that lends itself to a great degree of variation, so that you don't have to play exactly the same style. You can play as a Quincy and main ranged weapons, but also explore Soul Society world, the Quincy's world, the actual human world, and the layer of the Hollows. I'm blanking on all of the Hollows names. But yeah, so I think for the sheer degree of variation that you would get in Bleach's in a system based in Bleach World, I think is a point unto itself, really. So that's my argument.
You finish with 5 seconds to spare.
Oh, yeah, also, just before we move on, does anyone else hear Quincy and think of the old Doctors TV show?
Ha!
Quincy MD.
Yes!
I've never even heard that, I'll be honest.
Really?
Trust me, Elliot, you're not missing out on much. Right, it's my minute, and I'm starting now. You have to admit, my one is a bit more unique than your two arguments. I mean, Bleach is going to seem so much like like Sekiro, and Reese's is going to seem Berserk is going to be just so much like Dark Souls. I mean, you even said it himself. From Software were really heavily inspired by Berserk.
What was yours again, Cal?
Mine was Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, how would you make the alchemy work?
I think you could
You
make
can't create an infinite number of things.
Well, yeah, but that's what you can't use your powers over and over again in Bloodborne. You can make so I reckon you could restrict the powers very similar to how you do in Bloodborne. I wouldn't say.
Here's my question. With your idea for Full Metal Alchemist, how would you do the monsters? Like what monsters?
Well, you've got the 7 homunculi for a start, and then you've got a few other villainous threats. You've got potentially the Frost Alchemist. You could do a bunch of ice effects with him.
I don't mean bosses. I mean the monsters.
You don't get the sense with Full Metal Alchemist that you do with something like
you could have a stealth element, like in Metal Gear Solid. You could have just several different kinds of guardsmen be in it.
Yeah, but there's nothing.
Yeah, but these will be very interesting. They just be guards.
Yeah, monster.
They do with stormtroopers in Last Jedi. And that's
we're not
my
talking
time
about Last
up.
Jedi. We're talking about Full Metal Alchemist here.
And Soulsborne.
Yeah,
Okay,
and Soulsborne.
well, my time is up, so unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on now to Reese's. The time starts now.
Soulsborne is already based off of Berserk. Why are you just going over exactly the same territory?
It's not exactly the same territory. This is expanding the source material. We can go further beyond.
Plus Ultra.
Than was originally made. We can go to the astral world. We aren't confined by manga or story. We can create our own storylines if we wanted.
I think you're going to piss off a few people doing that. I know it's a good idea, but purists will not like it.
Yes, what you're actually suggesting is a game set in the world and exploring its own territory. I don't think that wouldn't really be respecting the property of Berserk. That's like going and making an entirely new story within the Lord of the Rings. That's not that's just using the lore rather than Berserk itself. That's not the series.
You can still use the same characters, though. I'm just saying, though, it can be expanded upon what we've read and what we've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe Guts had a different adventure in filler.
I would like
to make our own villain.
Your points were kind of just suggesting alternative weapon configurations and things, which I understand is important, but
Guts has a prosthetic arm. We could do a lot with that. Give him a grappling hook. Let him climb cliffs.
I'm afraid on that note, time is up. So, Ren, we're about to start on yours. Time starts now. I'm sorry, out of all 3 of these, yours is the one I want to buy the least.
Are you serious? Why?
Seriously, I would much rather... really, I don't think Bleach completely supports the Souls-like formula. I think it has... I don't think it would have enough enemy variety. I don't think it would have enough...
No, you are so wrong. You are so wrong.
Even my show has a lot more enemy variety. You've got tons you can work with.
Even within the Soul Society arc, the variation in the type of hollows that you see is huge. No two are alike.
I don't think the narrative of the Soul Society arc really suits a Souls-like scenario. I mean, Souls. The whole point is a sense of isolation and the whole world against you. I think mine and Reese's do that way better than your one.
No, I'm so sorry. If you get into the Hollow world and the world of the Arankars, that entire world is localized against every single... If you play as a Soul Reaper, every single Hollow is coming for you. You have to fight more and more powerful enemies, and there is Aizen, who is a discrete endgame boss who you have as a goal. He and his machinations are coming to fight you. And he can't do shit to stop you because it has that element of you against the world. I'm sorry, it does.
Yeah, but how would the combat work? The anime shows the combat being way too fast, too acrobatic. It takes fights in the sky. That would not translate well to a Souls-like game with combat.
And time is up.
Okay.
So you've all got... First of all, Calvin,
I'm out.
congratulations. You're out.
I saw that one coming. I must be honest, I was clutching at straws because all of you took better answers.
Because honestly, I feel like when it comes to Soulsborne, I see yours working the least.
Oof.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just because like with the others, there's a lot more variety in how you could do that. With Full Metal Alchemist, I'm sorry, but I just cannot see that. I can see good boss fights with the homunculus, but with the homunculi, but I can't see anything else happening. As for you two, here's the thing. This is a difficult thing. I think Berserk will work better as a Soulsborne game, but I think Ren's brought up some very good points. He's brought up some better points.
Yeah, but like I brought up though, the combat takes a lot of the place in the sky from what we've seen in Bleach.
Yeah,
translate well.
Yeah, I feel like it would still work. I feel like a Soulsborne gameplay with sort of like fast combat would work.
It happened with Sephiroth.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ren's.
Damn!
From his arguments, it sounds like you can have a lot more variety.
You really can.
With how you can fight, with the stories, with the Soul Reapers, and Reese. And Reese, I feel like something I really want to feel like in a Soulsborne game is that you're experiencing the world through like someone else's eyes rather than playing through the eyes of someone who's already in it. While Gus would definitely work as a good protagonist, I feel like his sort of gameplay style will be very limited.
Which is why I said about giving him different weapons and attachments for his arm.
I think it's a very good. I think it's a very good combination.
That wouldn't make him Guts.
I think we got to move on to the next one.
Guts is known for his gigantic Dragon Slayer.
We are moving on quickly.
Yeah, sorry.
Before this descends into an almighty row.
Which, of course, will.
I will say, though, I will say all of these games, all four of them, we'd all buy them instantly.
Yeah.
I so want to. I must be honest. I so want a Berserk Souls-like game. I want it.
You know, now I want a Bleach one. I
really want the fucking Bleach one.
Yeah.
I guess it's me and Reese on this side saying I'm not really sure I want that.
Yeah, it would not work as a Souls.
It would totally work. It would totally work.
It's too fast-paced.
Look, Ren has won this one. It's always the arguments to doing not the correct answer. That's all we always have to say. And also, Reese really has a good chance of winning this one. So I'm not fancying my chance in this one. It's what was the best year of the last decade of anime? So which year was the best year for anime within the last decade? So 2010 to 2019.
So Elliot can go first this time, then Cal, then Reese.
Okay.
Can I just say, Reese took my first answer. And Ren took my second.
What's your one then, Ren?
Well, mine was 2018, but you can have that one if you want, Cal.
No. I put down my answer. I have to stick with it. The rules are set. I have to lock it in.
Okay.
Plus, I got an argument for this one, so I'm going to try.
Okay, commence.
Elliot?
My one is 2015.
Reese?
2016.
I went for 2014. So
wow, literally 1 year apart from me.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Elliot and his argument why 2015 was the best year of anime for the last decade. Time starts now.
Okay, first of all, it's not because Wrath of the End came out that year, but that's part of the reason. However, the reason why is because this year a lot of incredibly iconic anime came out. First of all, things like Death Parade came out, fucking One Punch Man, some other shit I can't remember. The second half to Fate Stay Night. This was a really good year for anime. And one of the very big reasons because I picked this one is because I feel like this is the year that anime really started to get popular. Like if you think about it, a lot more people were talking about anime during this year. It became less niche and became much bigger. Like when you look back at the other years, you see people talking about who like anime, talking about the usual shonen stuff. This year, we got more people talking about anime, and more people generally watching it. And I feel like this year was just generally really good, and that's just sort of my reasoning for it. I do not have much of an argument for this.
Oh, that's good.
That's it.
Okay, reset timer. Reese, you're up. Starting now.
I think it's you.
Oh, is it me?
2016.
Oh, wait. So it's Callum Memory, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'll restart the time. Stop. Okay, I've got it under control. My time starts now. Right. If you look at all these years, one of the really underrated ones that I think really pushed it above the bar was 2014. You have sports anime redefined through Haikyuu. You have emotional dramas redefined again with Your Lie in April. You have the acceleration of what action horror anime can do with Tokyo Ghoul. Some of the Isekai that was coming out was not terrible. You have and some of the great stuff was coming out, including stuff like Parasite the Maxim, a manga that we thought was never going to get adapted, finally came to a screen, and it was seen, and because it was sort of like the year that proved the animation that had been promised in Attack on Titan was going to become a standard thing. Attack on Titan was a really big deal at the time, and a lot of people thought, well, no other productions are going to be able to do it. It's just going to be Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online that will have these budgets for animation. But they extended it out, and that meant we got a ton of shows that made the difference. And even then, it was so good. Most of the best shows like Unlimited Blade Works and Parasite the Maxim and Your Lie in April defined the next year of anime, 2015. They actually seeped over into that. You have so many genre-defining shows. Even the really weak stuff was not terrible. And none of the seasons were really that weak. There seemed to be a show for everyone in each season. So that's my reason why 2014 is highly underrated. Okay, so Reese.
Just quickly. Food Wars Assassination Classroom. Those are 2 miles going to bring it up in my side.
Okay, moving on. Okay. Starting now.
I have two of the biggest anime films of all time. Your Name, A Silent Voice. We agree those two are masterpieces. We also have some of the best starting animes of all time.
2017.
No, Japanese.
2016 in Japan.
Yep. So we also have some of the best shows that first started off. We've got My Hero Season 1 starting. We have ReZero Season 1. Konosuba Season 1. Mob Psycho Season 1. Literally all the biggest shows that are still continuing to this day started in 2016. We have Yuri on Ice. We have Erased. We have JoJo Diamond is Unbreakable. We have Season 20 of Naruto with the final Naruto vs Sasuke fight, which redefined fights in all of anime for years to come. We have Aggressive Retsuko, who did a lot of memes. Yeah, he did a lot of memes. That still continues to this day. We have, and now for the Gundam part. Gundam Unicorn, Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphan Season 1, second half. First half of Season 2. Gundam Thunderbolt, Erased. Drifters, March Comes In Like a Lion. Fate Grand Order, First Order. Well, I can bring it up again. Drifters, Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinjo. Haikyuu Season 2. We have some of the best original Season 1s and some of the best Season 2s in 2016.
You forgot Haikyuu Season 3 as well.
That was 2017, wasn't it?
No, at the very end of 2016.
Oh, okay.
Some very good arguments, guys.
Okay, so we're starting with Elliot on 2015 now. Okay, here's the thing, Elliot. I think only 3 shows really stuck from 2015, and even then, they all only had 1 extra season, which were Assassination Classroom, Food War, with the exception of Food Wars, Assassination Classroom, Food Wars, and One Punch Man. It felt like a year of I would say 2015 to me felt like the year it kind of felt like there were a few great ones, but not a whole a great season. Like it had a really bad summer season.
The main reason why I bring this up is because it brought about some of the biggest shows, and this was really when a lot of people started talking more about anime. Is when anime was started to become more popular.
Yeah, but there wasn't that many great shows in that year. We're talking about that year because during 2015, people were watching older anime at the time. That got them talking, not the shows in 2015 itself.
What? Okay.
As I said, I didn't really have much of an argument for this one. This is my throwaway one.
Okay. Well, moving on. I think you might have lost it on that. We're moving on.
I'm just gonna say. You know what? I'm just gonna say now. I'm dropping out of this one. I don't think I'm winning.
Well, you might. Ren's judging.
Just yet.
I will say, Elliot, you put for someone you kind of threw away. You've done an excellent argument.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting with my one, 2014. Go.
Yep.
I don't think you got. I think I have a good argument here, considering just how many really good indie shows also happened that year as well, which I kind of
but the title was what was the best year of anime, not was the most underrated year of anime.
But I think most of the times you remember the really underrated ones really well, and if you go by that sense, sometimes the underrated one is the best one.
Not always, because a lot of yours haven't stuck through.
The only one that really stood out to me was Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but that was 2013.
Really stood out.
I would say there was a breakout show. Tokyo Ghoul really stood out that year, and Parasite the Maxim.
And it slowly got worse as the years went on.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It was
not the fault of 2014.
Sorry.
I said that's not the fault of 2014 that the series got worse.
Yeah, to be fair,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you didn't have that many good shows compared to me. I have over like 20.
There wasn't a bad season in any time during my year. There was at least one great show each season.
Yeah, just one. That's not many.
Okay, that time's up, and I've not done a very good job there. So we'll move on to Reese.
Right, bring it on if you can.
I can actually.
Okay. A lot of the shows that you brought up, yeah, they had good first season, but you should probably. But I'd probably like to know that a lot of those seasons were overshadowed by the later seasons that came out in later years.
Also,
My Hero Academia, season 2 is better than season 1. I would say the same for Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, guess what? We're only talking about the year they first came out in. We're only talking about the year they first came out in.
No, it's a fair argument on his part. I'd also like to say the winter season was a bit. I was there. The winter season was a bit of a drag, and the summer season was only good if you were into slice of life anime. The only other thing on were Mob Psycho 197 Days. If you weren't a slice of life fan, that season was really not much there for you. I mean, I was, so I loved it, but
yeah, you also had all the Gundams out during summer.
Yeah,
we had 3 different series.
Not everyone's going to be into Gundam.
Yeah, a lot of people are fans of Iron Blooded Orphans.
Not everyone is Gundam fans. A lot of people probably won't be watching all the Gundam stuff.
Yeah, but a ton of Isekai fans came in. Konosuba, ReZero. Look what that led to. Isekai Quartet.
Time's up.
What
I'm
else
afraid.
did that lead
Your
to?
shows led to nothing.
What else did
Time's up. Time's up. Time's up. Judge, save us. Save us, please. You're supposed to be moderating this, you idiot.
So I'm just sitting back and watching the chaos ensue. It's hilarious.
Ren, pick a winner before I swear to God I will come up there and tase you.
Reese, sorry. you had that.
No, yeah, Reese had this one from the start.
Yeah.
Hang on, I will show you guys the page.
You don't need to. I agree with you. 2016 was probably the better year.
Yeah, I will agree. 2016. I don't know why I bothered with this one. I was just hoping someone would win an argument. I think if 2018 had been put in the mix.
But yeah, you could have taken mine. You could have taken.
I know, but I had to follow the rules. So 2018 had been in there. We could have talked about things like Gridman and Violet Evergarden and.
Oh, Gridman's so good. Can't wait for that sequel.
I think.
You were saying, Elliot?
I was slightly thinking 2018. Then I just thought, I feel like 2015 might have just been a bit better. I don't know.
Can I say at this point, everyone's got 1, and Reese has 2.
Yeah, I know.
Oh shit!
2 questions left,
and he will be going into. So Reese will be in the final debate. So this will be the interesting mark.
I just want to say you all had very good arguments, Carl. You kind of you fought your side well. Like I agree with your point that all of the seasons were really good, or had at least one good show. Elliot, you kind of made a lot of good points about the popularization of anime in that year, with One Punch Man, a lot of shows. Yeah, so I think you guys all did incredibly well. That was really good.
Okay, let's start with the next one. See if Reese is judging. Let's see.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing over the argument me Reese had with
Yeah, you were the judge.
let's move on quickly.
There's a bunch of good isekais. More bad than good.
Okay, let's start with question 6, and it's well, Reese is going to be judging this one. It's which isekai? And Ren, you've lost this already. I know your answer. You've lost this already.
No chance.
Hang on, let's wait for the video.
Which isekai should join the cast of Isekai Quartet next season? Which cast of characters from a particular isekai should join
Just
Isekai
quickly,
Quartet?
what was that Reese's?
Mine was Sword Art Online.
Bleh.
I have good reasons for mine.
Just as well you're the good one, Reese.
Let's move.
I will show you what I wrote after.
Okay.
Let's move on. Okay, so what order are we doing this in, Reese?
So you go Elliot, Ren, and Yukel.
Okay, Elliot, what did you pick?
I went with That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime.
Of course.
Ren?
Spirited Away.
I went for bullshit. I went for
What?
in my next life, my life as a villainess. All roads lead to doom.
Okay.
From this, I picked one from this season.
I want to, actually.
Okay, Ren. No, Elliot. Your time starts now.
The reason why I feel like That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime will really work is, first of all, it has a meet. Like, it's not just Rimuru who's a good character. They have a bunch of really good characters. A lot of them have gone expanded. They've gone through character arcs, and not to mention, it would work really well. Out of all these ones, it's the only one that has definitely been confirmed for season 2. So it will work for promotion for season 2, and I just feel like it generally works best out of all of them. Someone's masturbating in the background. Please stop it. I just think the characters would be good. It would work really well with all the characters. The powers, I think, will be very, very cool, and I especially just think it would fit the art style the best. I just feel like with everything, it will fit the art style more than a bunch of the other isekais I could think of. That's it.
Okay. Ren.
Yep.
Your time starts now.
Okay, so a lot of what takes place in Isekai Quartet is all of the characters are explicitly gamers, like they're within their world and having to understand the world. Spirited Away is very different in the sense that it's a kind of exploration of a completely alien and unknown place. And also the character has no way of getting out without actually the assistance of another character. It has a well-loved cast of characters, for example, No Face, and I'd love to see any of the comedy that would ensue from No Face interacting with, say, for example, Imes. And also, the frogs and the witch sisters. For example, one of the witch sisters being the headmistress, or the dragon being Ryu being a student council member or something like that. I feel like there would be a lot of comedy that could arise from having such a varied cast, but also the injection of a kind of different fantasy world that Spirited Away would bring to each of the isekai worlds that the protagonists from Isekai Quartet are all are all from, as well as kind of counteracting some of the more comedic side of perhaps Konosuba, but basically using a girl who comes from. I know the justification kind of is a bit wavy on whether or not it's isekai, but it technically is because it's a journey to another world.
Yeah, it is technically an isekai.
It is technically.
I'm gonna fucking destroy you.
Yeah, same. We're ganging up on him, Elliot.
Go ahead.
Okay, before I go into my argument, who the fuck is playing Resident Evil right now?
No, Discord's fucking messaging.
That is a sound effect that the old menus have in fucking Resident Evil. That's the exact same goddamn sound effect.
It's also the sound effects that they have in Discord. I don't know why.
Oh.
I knew it! Discord's run by the Umbrella Corporation! Okay, my time starts now.
Albert Wesker's been hearing my conversations! Run!
My time now starts! I know Villainess has been a relatively new anime and hasn't had time to build that audience, but Shield Hero was up within a year of its time, of its broadcast, and it fit in perfectly. I think it would make... You've got a good cast of characters that can fill up tons of room in the show. All the comedy is good, and it could be it'll be very different to anything else. any of the others, because the reverse harem aspect could then come in, and you can have a few jokes on that basis. You have the real, which also would work out very well considering the majority of these shows already in Isekai Quartet have predominantly female cast members to one male. So it would be a bit of a different thing. You can have tons of jokes around the fact that she's gone from one world to an extra world to another extra world. That's already been. That's been done quite well in the past. I reckon they could do a bit more with the material. It has a lot of a self-deprecating humour. How much would you love to see another internal monologue with those the chibi versions of her in her head within Isekai Quartet, and then have it invaded by some of the other characters' chibi versions of their heads like that? It's ripe for comedy. I've started a movement here. Okay, so that's my one up. So we're now starting with a minute on Elliot's. Go.
Okay. Prove me wrong.
Yours a bit too obvious, and also I don't see everything working out. I think we've had the whole not exactly human characters with the Overlord cast.
I would also say that the side.
We can't have it with the others. Plus, I feel like, especially compared to yours ones, it would fit the best. It will fit into the world and to the cast the best out of everybody else, because it comes from an action isekai, and I feel like it will work considering like where the story goes. If it goes the same in season 3, if we get season 3, I feel like it would work better than the other ones.
I don't.
So considering again, there's a big. It has a defined cast of characters, and come on, who wouldn't want to see the Demon Lord girl interact with Ainz or Tanya? I feel like
I think there's probably like 2 or so memorable characters from that series that you could put into Isekai Quartet. But on the whole, I wouldn't say that the addition of the slime sidecast would add that much to Isekai Quartet.
Yeah, but you'd say that about Tanya the Evil, but that's not the case. I don't know why I'm helping you.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
No, I remember.
Oh wait, now I remember because we're ganging up on him because he's made a stupid answer.
No, it's not a stupid answer. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, let's see. We're a minute on Ren's one. I'm going to start this, Elliot, just for the record.
Come on, mate.
Go. Okay. Sorry,
Okay,
you're really stretching the definition of isekai.
I'm not.
2. You're not going to get the budget to get a fucking Ghibli film in Isekai Quartet.
How feasible it is. It's just what would make a good addition. And I think that the cast of characters.
3, she escapes the world.
Yeah, I don't see where the comedy is. I don't really see where the comedy is going to come.
You say that it would. 4th, you would say that it would be different because she's not a gamer. Saga Tanya the Evil. The main character in that was not a gamer. He was a businessman who was a dick.
Okay, but okay, go on. Oh, well, having the cast of Spirited Away is a straight to all of the comedy that would ensue for all of the rest of the characters, I think would enhance it.
I don't really see where the comedy is going to come from, though.
Yeah, but how would they work? You see how they establish with each other in their world through the movie. You do not see, because it's not a series, you don't see fully how they would interact with everyone else.
Time's up.
You're not being able to see how they would fully.
It's time for a minute on my one, and starting now. What? I can see I've won this one.
Okay,
more.
Alright, well, you said it's an ongoing series. You made the argument with it being an ongoing series with Shield Hero. That does not work. When Shield Hero was an Isekai Quartet, the series had ended. At this point, we are only 6 episodes into.
It's going to end by the time we get to it.
Villainess. And because we don't know enough about the characters.
In addition, because it's a romance series, all of the relationships with the characters are where the comedy comes from. If the characters are interacting with, say, other characters from like Saga of Tanya the Evil or something, it's not going to be very funny because.
I think it could work. I mean, you got a lot of romance aspects.
It's not a very action-based series.
Yeah.
But then
also, it's not a very action-based series. A lot of the anime that's already in Isekai Quartet are all mostly action-based.
Yeah.
All mostly action-based. Therefore, they work well off each other.
Konosuba doesn't really have too much action in it. It's mostly a comedy show.
The knowledge and power of Katerina stems from the fact that she played the visual novel that the world is based on. If she
Which
comes
adds to the extra level of the comedy that she doesn't know what she's in.
Yeah, they wouldn't work nearly as well.
Yeah.
They wouldn't work nearly as well because she's gone to a world which she recognises. Meanwhile, everyone else is going to a world which they completely don't recognise, except for her.
God damn it, time's up.
Great circle.
Reese.
Oh, well, Calvin had a good start until it came to his defence.
I'd like to apologise, my audio keeps cutting out for you guys. I have no idea why.
That's right.
No, so far I'm hearing everything. So far I'm hearing everything, Elliot. It's fine.
Yeah, for me though, for some reason it cuts out, and then I think it's a bit of a lag. That's all.
Okay, might be, but it's fine on our end, and that's the end that's being recorded, so that's all that really matters at this point.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I'm
Ren...
just letting you know in case I start overlapping you.
Okay, no
I
problem.
apologise.
No problem. What are you picking, Reese, then? Because I'm out of this one, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, you are right.
Ren did better than we thought he would, the Spirited Away. With all his justifications. But I think overall I'm going to have to give it to Elliot.
Elliot wins it.
He just made better
Yes!
points.
Which means me and Ren are out.
Oh, I'm gutted.
It's down to a one-on-one match between Reese and Elliot.
So is this the last one?
The last one.
With a belt on the line.
The belt,
Is this
the amiibo, and the wild.
It's just me and Reese in this one.
It's just you and Reese.
So are we judging?
Me
It's a
and
repeat of last year. Fucking hell.
me.
Should I come down to your computer, Cal?
No,
I'm going to come and judge with Cal.
no, you're not. Stay where you are. I'm swapping. No, go. Oh, god damn it. This is really weird. This is going to be like some fucking TikTok thing. Go away. Go back to your room.
Hello, I'm here to be a judge.
I'm already fixed, sir.
I'm here to judge the
Get away from me. Get away from. Go upstairs.
I'm Calvin.
Go back upstairs and judge it properly.
No, it's me and...
It's you and Reese.
So, okay.
And okay,
This is literally a repeat of last year.
let's see if you're going to take.
Last year, me and Reese were tied.
Now, Reese, you have agreed.
There's
That
no
if, Reese, you have agreed if you win this year, you're retiring for next year.
Yeah. I'm going to retire for a few years.
That's good of you, mate.
Yeah. And next year I will be the only judge.
Yeah, very good of you. Very good.
But you want to win the third year in a row. You want the hat trick.
I want the hat trick.
So now it's time for it's time for the final debate. This
is a good one.
We haven't got money for sound effects. That's okay. So it's in the live action movie of My Hero Academia is coming up. Who's gonna play All Might? So we're gonna go with Reese first, since you're the defending champion.
I went with Terry Crews.
Elliot.
I went with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Okay.
Two men famous for not having hair.
So does Terry Crews.
That's what I said. Both of our picks.
Oh, sorry. I thought it said The Rock was. I was like,
Good thing you're listening, Ren.
I don't listen. I decide. I'm a judge.
For God's sake. Reese, your 2 minutes start now.
Okay, so Terry Crews is the right age to play All Might, because in the manga, Endeavour is 45, while All Might is older than him, so he's presumably in his late 40s to early 50s. Terry Crews is 51. He has the right physique from his career as a pro NFL player for 7 years, and kept his physique as we've seen in the Old Spice commercials and action films like The Expendables. He's also a proven father figure that could be for decades, considering his 88-episode run of Everyone Hates Chris. He was full of wisdom, being the hardest working dad, working 3 jobs, doing everything he can to provide for his family, make sure they have proper moral upbringing, know the difference between right and wrong, and basically how to be proper people and how to be a father figure to them. So he was also on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where he was a sergeant for 6 series before becoming a lieutenant.
Lieutenant in the new one.
Yeah, season 7 onwards, he's a lieutenant. So he's already used to playing a hero, being a cop, arresting bad guys. So he also has a lot of great talent because he was coming from a nervous breakdown to come back to action. He's also the parental figure of the group, who has an intimidating size but has a gentle, giant personality, just like All Might does in the show. He looks scary because he's big, buff and that, but right down, he's a gentle giant. Also, and another black superhero would be great for inclusivity, as the currently only biggest ones are Black Panther and the Falcon from the MCU.
War Machine.
If again, that one, that's actually Cyborg.
So this is no more Iron Man films.
And
So the biggest one, are Falcon and Black Panther going. So, and Black Panther wants to be the 12th highest grossing film of all time, with a predominantly black cast. So this would be great for inclusivity, to see the symbol of peace, the strongest hero, also be the same race as them, to inspire the younger kids thinking,
your time is up, Reese.
You like him.
Your time's up, Reese. Elliot, your time starts now.
Okay, the reason why I will pick Rock is, first of all, I just think he's a very good pick. He has the right physique, he's the right size, and the biggest, first of all, he is very charismatic. I know Terry Crews is, but here's my argument. I feel like The Rock has the right kind of charisma to play All Might. When you see him in Moana, he is charismatic, he's loud, but not to an incredibly large point. I feel like The Rock would generally work really well because he just has a bunch of acting, like different types of acting as well. When you look at Terry Crews, he plays like one main kind of actor. I'm recording, and which really works. And I just feel like Dwayne The Rock Johnson would just work the best because again, Terry Crews, I feel like mostly plays the same kind of person, which is mostly a loud, charismatic, loud and charismatic. Meanwhile, The Rock has played multiple different kinds of characters. He worked kinds of characters, and therefore I feel like he would really adapt well to being All Might, and I just feel like it would work very well. I apologize for shouting. Sorry for shouting.
What?
This is like a TikTok thing already. I will say, my one was going to be Dave Bautista, by the way. Mine was going to be Dave Bautista, and Ren, you had Chris...
I was going to choose Chris Evans, who obviously plays Captain America.
Yeah, you would have lost instantly, Ren.
But see, I don't think so, because he has precedent. Like, he played...
Mostly because he has hair.
Yes.
Your biggest point.
Okay, you two quickly judge which one of us had the better one from that.
Batista.
Fuck.
Calvin.
Thank you. I take third place this year.
I didn't get the ability to state my case.
Leave to Calvin.
Cal sucks. I win.
Anyway, moving on. Elliot, Reese, your time start. Your 1 minute on your one starts now.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, me and Ren are allowed to challenge you on it this time.
Okay. Terry Crews played much more.
Let me just say this.
What?
Go ahead.
Let me walk you through the podcast again. He's very charismatic, and he has the right type of charisma to be able to play as All Might. Terry Crews, I think, is just a bit too loud and a bit too hyper. Meanwhile, I feel like The Rock, especially again when you see him in Moana, has the right type of charisma that will make him a good role as All Might.
Yeah, but that film's also animated. We're talking about live action. How to see a person in the role? Terry Crews did 88 episodes. Everyone hates Chris. He was a serious character. He was not played for laughs. He was a supporting father.
With Terry Crews, a lot of your points doesn't really brings up the roles he's played, but it hasn't brought up his acting.
Yes, he's a fantastic actor. He plays a father figure in all of his roles.
Okay, time is up on Terry Crews. Time.
The Rock has not been a father figure.
Time. Let's quickly move.
It doesn't have to be. It's not about if he has actually been. It's if he can act as one.
Yeah.
Rock.
Terry Crews has precedent. 7 years.
Red, help me out here.
Look. We're finished for now.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly, let's do a bit on The Rock.
I'm the number one member of the Terry Crews fan club.
Return to your corners, fighters. Return to your
fucking
corners.
Gundam fucker.
That's not an insult.
I'm already in
There's
my
nothing wrong with Gundam. It's amazing. They've been doing it for 40 years.
Wrong argument, Reese.
I called
Anyway,
you a Gundam.
What is the big thing against The Rock in the role?
He just doesn't have enough experience as a father figure.
Because I kind of see The Rock in that role.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the seriousness to be a proper father figure. Like All Might in the show, he's caring and loving towards Deku, but he can also be serious. The Rock only does comedy.
He can be. I'm sure he can be though. He has played that serious roles before. Therefore, I'm sure he'll be able to do it.
Does a lot more serious acting, and a lot of his earlier roles. Everyone hate Chris. Eight episodes.
The Rock does do a lot of serious acting though. He'd be able to do. I'm sure he'd
the
be able
last
to do
serious
it very
thing he did was Hercules. And look how that turned out.
No. Elliot is right. He has done a few.
Shit. That doesn't mean he is.
I'm going to stop you there because time's up. 1 and 2. Elliot is right. He has done some serious roles, so that's not entirely true that he's done comedy only.
Some more serious roles.
Okay, Ren, which way are you thinking at the minute?
See, I think Reese made some really good points. Actually, I think the father figure point is really important in the portrayal of
which The Rock has done. I think The Rock's done that a few times.
Yeah, but not to the same extent as Terry Crews.
But you also need a level of kind of over the topness, which the Rock has the history of with wrestling. I mean, Terry Crews does as well. Like but a lot
of the NFL, yeah,
comedic. I would say the comedic element's there for the both of them.
I think they're equal on that art. I would say they are equal on the comedic element. I think it comes down to.
I'll tell you what I think is the better answer. I think the better answer is The Rock.
If I had to see both of these posters on the wall, I saw Terry Crews playing All Might. I think that's all right casting. If I saw The Rock, I'd just say, yeah, perfect. I also want to. I think the one thing we didn't address though is what are they going to look like with the CGI and they're all shrunk down. I'm trying to think who looks funnier without. That's what's going to be the judgment for me. Which one looks funnier?
Well, I know that. I don't think that's right judging. Which one looks funnier? Which one looks more goofy?
Which one's going to? Well, okay, let's rephrase that. Which one's going to suit both the All Might persona and the shrunk down and the demuscled All Might?
Yeah.
And the general, and the general look, yeah.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to pick, Ren? Which one are you voting?
It's difficult. I can see them both doing such a good job.
Yeah, same. I can't pick this.
I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to go for The Rock, so Elliot.
I'm going to go with my gut and go with The Rock as well, so Elliot wins this year.
Reese.
I'm so sorry, Reese.
I'm taking the title!
Yeah, but Elliot didn't argue about the father figure, which is the most important part of All Might.
I will say, Reese, you had a hell of a good argument.
Really did.
But this year was not. But this year you did.
Elliot stopped that at once.
What?
I said Elliot stopped that at once.
It was mine, bitches!
Yeah, but at least you.
I apologise. I do not. I'm super happy. I win!
Can I just say?
I still think I did better though because it was the father figure and the inclusivity.
I will say, Reese, you put up a hell of a fight, and I think I could I was so close to picking you, but I also think you went over the same point a few too many times.
Yeah, because it was the most important point, being the father figure for Deku.
I will say
that's the most important part of All Might to the story.
And I think Elliot did say. I would agree with Elliot that The Rock could do that.
No, but not the seriousness that Terry Crews has done in the past. The Rock doesn't have the history of playing serious characters.
Yeah. What about that film where he's the coach for the Mustangs? He's pretty much spending the entire film doing that.
Yeah, Terry Crews was on Everyone Hates Chris for nearly 10 years, being a serious father who knew how to be loving and nurturing towards his son.
I will say
Deku doesn't have a father in the anime or manga.
Well,
he needs that figure, which is what he sees in All Might.
I will say though, this year was really good one. I think it turned out quite well. So, congratulations to everyone.
I was thinking I'd lose.
Can I just say though?
Yeah. I'm not happy with that result now.
Okay. Do you want me, Elliot? Do you mind if I give it to Reese? Because I think he did put up a good argument, and I must be honest. I kind of want to go for Terry Crews. To be honest,
the better points in my opinion.
I think Ren. Can I be honest? I think Reese made the better argument.
I'm not trying to be contentious, but I do think that the better answer was definitely The Rock. To be honest,
Do you know what? I'm going to call it a tie. Do you know what?
But not the better argument for it.
Do you know what? I'm going to call it a tie.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a tie. I can't pick a winner here. Reese can't. I think I'm going to give you both a wild card.
Okay.
Okay.
One card each.
Yes.
Whew.
I'm going to give them a wild card each, so we're going to have 10 nominees this year.
I want a wild card.
Can I just say, Reese looks so pissed.
I'm not pissed. I just know I did the better
Reese looks so
argument.
pissed.
And I've given you a
And
win.
I'm so sorry, man.
And I've given you a win. Because I want to change my answer to Terry Crews, and Ren wants to keep The Rock, so we can't agree, so we're going to make it a tie.
Okay, I'm happy with that. But I want wild cards.
No, but then there's no point to this.
I'm joking, don't worry. I'm happy to call it a tie.
Can I just say, though, Reese, you did an excellent job this year with your arguments. You really fought through everything.
Yeah.
And you've rightfully won this one. I will say right now.
Thank you.
Well done.
Can I just say, Elliot, for someone who...
It's not...
You were
I
legitimately
make statements.
Like, I'll be honest, if I was voting...
Who would you
I
vote
would
for?
say you did do a really good job, dude.
Do you know what? Let's give it to Reese. And next year we can have a proper winner.
Tie.
What?
Gotta be the tie.
Do you want to stick with a tie, guys? Or do you...
Important.
Elliot, what are you most happy with on this one? Do you want to stick with a tie, or do you want to give it to Reese? Because I think...
I want to stick with the tie, but like we both gave really good points.
I agree, and I think both of you did very well.
I mean, it's like we both win. It's like we both win anyway. We both get the same rewards.
Well, exactly.
I'll still let him keep the belt. He can keep the belt. You keep the belt.
Okay, he keeps the belt. You get the amiibo.
Look how happy he is. Look how happy he is. I can see your smile there.
Okay.
Peaceful.
It's I like Reese does the Reese does the eyebrow thing, and it's just.
Pretty.
So what do you? So okay, that's Anime Fight.
This is the most dramatic episode that we've had so far of Anime Amigos.
This is the very special episode.
There's always like I feel like we're going to break out in how passionate we are about our argument.
I will say I'm glad. I hope we get to do this next year all in person.
Yeah, that would be fab.
Do you think?
Absolutely, we took.
So what do you think? What So I'm also hoping next year I come up with better questions, because my questions were shit this year.
I quite enjoyed those questions. I
say in that case.
Well,
I say in that case, like next year we all make at least one question.
I agree.
Yeah. Or we outsource. We ask someone else to come up with some questions as well. Like Adam or Nikki or someone may be interested in writing a question.
Yeah.
So we're going forward. We were going to do.
Good. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Elliot. We'll try and get this done. So because your lag is really not help. Because your lag is really screwing with us interacting with you. Next month we were going to do. Next month we were going to do the best of spring, but Netflix announced that BNA is coming to us on June the 30th, so we're going to take a week out to have a chance of watching that one.
Yeah, boy.
So next month we'll be reviewing the film that Reese is most excited to see.
Oh yeah.
Promare. I'm dead excited to talk about Promare.
I'm super excited for this.
Because I saw it in Edinburgh a couple last year, and I really want to gush about it. It's so good of a film.
Sorry, just to
I really want to talk about it.
To correct you there, Cal, it's Edinburgh, not Edinburgh. For the Scots who may be out to get you.
They're going to kill me anyway.
Oh yes, all two of our Scottish fans.
Yeah, they exist. I mean, Evie in the office might castrate you, Cal, but...
luckily, she's got social distance from me, so I think I'm fine.
Yeah. Maybe she can get garden shears.
I think it will be...
Until lockdown's ended.
Well, I will say, the lockdown looks like it's going to stay in some regard for a little bit longer. So we can't really social distance with the place we got is open at the minute, but we can't really social distance in that environment and all stay on camera. So we probably for the next couple of them be doing this. But as a whole, I'm really looking forward to us meeting up again because I've missed hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, same here, definitely.
May, I cannot wait. I'm going to try and get a play with them.
Yeah, do it.
Honestly, it's just been that's been one of the things I've missed out the most. Us all hanging out at least once a month.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Do you guys reckon we're going to go to AnimeCon or not at this point?
Right. No.
I think it'll be cancelled still.
I agree.
I have a feeling it's going to be. I think it's going to be cancelled. Yeah.
I reckon we should do one episode where we have considering we won a quiz, I think we should do one episode where all of us write. Since we won the quiz last year, we do it in place of it. We do an episode where we each write like 5 or 10 questions.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And see who gets the most right answers.
Right, I'm picking JoJo as my topic.
All right.
Bam, ba, 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 doo-doo. Okay, so thank you for joining us.
I guess for mine, I'm picking Vanguard.
No.
Thank you.
I'll pick Gundam, shall I?
Of course.
40 years of history.
That's our next. We've got to make that our shirt at some point. Just Reese going 40 years with a Gundam mimicking him. Just the other X-78 mimicking him in the background.
Just a picture of Reese shouting Gundam.
No.
I'm so looking forward to that. I will say right now, before I'm just at a slight. That's just from my backflight. I'm not infected. I'm fine.
Better not be infected, otherwise I'm going to kill you.
Same difference.
Be gone, scum!
So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, people. Love you all. See you next time.
Lots of love.